Hello, bit of technical difficulties this evening. As you might see, I don't know how this looks. It's all been going a wee bit haywire down here at Black Lodge, but welcome, Saturday Night Drams. It's live here at the Black Lodge with me, David, at Drinkswhisky. It is Saturday the 29th of March. Hope you are keeping well. There's been a lot of whiskey activity the last couple of weeks, so if you've been out at tasting, or you've been at a show recently, or any of the above, I hope you've had a great time. I hope you've had some amazing drams. We are live now. I've got a beer. I've not even had time to have a sip of it, and I've got that weird foamy head on the top of it. Let me know as long as this is all coming through loud and clear. Let me see. I am, for all intents and purposes, 10 minutes late. I don't know what happened. It's because, and I look really grainy. I don't know what's going on with the camera. Maybe it's the lens, maybe it's the camera itself. I hope not. It's been doing a power of filming for March Dram Madness. So that's had its toll. So I'm having to move setups and do stuff and whatever. So thank you for bearing with me. Evening Petehead, and thank you for the belated hip hip hooray. That's in reference to, if you watched yesterday's video, I did drop it in there. It was my birthday. We got another comment there from Lowlander coming up when it eventually comes in the chat. There we go. Thank you, Lowlander. I had a lovely birthday yesterday. I had a fantastic day with the family. I was surprised with an early morning breakfast of sorts, and then at the breakfast I was told, right, you need to be at the door in 10 minutes because you need to go and get a massage that's booked for you. I had a lovely massage, hour-long massage. Came back, then it was out the door to go bowling with my daughter for the first ever time. She's not yet 2, so we had a good bit of fun there. And if you on my Instagram, you'd have seen Mrs. Drinkswhisky somehow smashing out a strike with my daughter on her hip. Unbelievable. Absolutely hustled as hell. But yeah, had a great day. And then in the evening, my brother-in-law and his partner, they came over and babysat the wee one, and we went to the pictures and saw Black Bag, Stephen Sodenberg? Should know Sodenheim. Is it no, Soderheim's the musician, the musical guy, isn't he? Stephen Soderbergh. His new one with Michael Fassbender on that. I really enjoyed it. If you like kind of spy thrillers, whatever, it was all set in London. It was all really tight. No fat in the bone. So brilliant birthday. Thanks everyone for asking. Let me see. Where's my chat that I normally pull up? It's not here. What's going on? I swear to God, see, sometimes I'm looking at the output on this, and even maybe the screen. I think it's the screen. I think I might look alright. I don't know, but where's my chat? Is it this one? No, it's this. There we go. Appreciate it, Hamish. Thank you. Thanks for joining this evening. It's been a busy day as well. So my birthday's yesterday, my mother-in-law's birthday's today, and then we've got Mother's Day tomorrow. So the weekend's just been non-stop. All the while I'm trying to get the March Drams Madness out the door, and I'm trying to get the stream set up to go live. We had an early dinner tonight for my mother-in-law with the whole family, and we went and did that. Put the wee one to bed. She's not feeling well because she's a toddler. They're never well. So it's been full on. I had like a list of things that I was going to try and research before I came live, pull up my notes, but I just never had the time. So I'm going to rely on you guys in the chat for some topics and some conversation, but these are always really good value and good for it. Who else we got in the chat? There we go. PX, how you doing, sir? Thank you very much. And by the way, I've not had the chance because it never came up as a notification. I think it's a massive thank you. Huge thank you to you, mate. I really appreciate the buy me a coffee. I've literally not even logged in to like properly do whatever I need to do with it. and give you a proper thank you, but I really, really appreciate it. It was a lovely surprise. I don't know why the notification, I don't have an app for it or anything, and it was just in my emails, and I saw it and I was like, Jesus, I think it was about a week or so after you'd done it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm not ungrateful at all. It was a really kind gesture. And it was part of the reason why I ended up picking this up. Now, I don't know if many of you have had this or heard of it. This is the Loch Lomond Distillery Edition number 7, the Tropical Refill. I've not tried it yet, but everyone I know that's tried it has loved it. And Loch Lomond are doing, I think it's still on, I don't know if there's any of this left, but there's 20, but in the UK there's 20% off all bottles on the site. So a whole load of us just, it seems, swooped and bought it, because the amount of people I've seen on Instagram posting that they got it. I'm just having a wee read of the back here. It's a Chardonnay wine yeast, so it's similar with raw aquavitae used. So I'm going to crack that open tonight. I've also got to hand, got a wee Ardnamurchan Pont Loire, and we've still got the Kilkerran bourbon cask. I've not had time to even touch it. I've not had time to actually have a dram that's no been for March Dram Madness, to be honest, as you can imagine. And I appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate you enjoying it. It's been quite the undertaking. I don't want to always talk about it every week because it's drawn to an end. I'm going to do a final video of March Dram Madness and just talk about it and say like my thoughts and opinions on doing it and get your feedback on it and stuff like that. There's so much I would love to do. Like, if you've watched the latest one today, the intro part with the nice bottle shots and that was always my intention for every video. You need if I'm going to do it properly, if I wanted to do that next year, I'd need to be doing that. I need to film and shoot that a month or so before March. But it just wasn't how this happened. It's all been shot and filmed in March and on the fly. So it's been an adventure. It's definitely been an adventure. So I'll get into that later on and we can chat it away. But there will be a video after Monday when it ends, which I was editing today's video last night after I got back from the cinema, and as I was sitting there and I'm doing my like keyboard shortcuts and I was literally doing it with my eyes shut at times, and I had to stop and go to bed and then finish it this morning. So it's literally down to the wire. Like, that's how I've been fortunate. I've been able to call people out some comments and stuff in it, so that you know that it's actually not a in the bank coming out. Peathead, been to the Whisky Festival in Netherlands today. Good fun, though not that much wow as the Independent Spirits Festival. Yeah, you were spoiled there though. You were spoiled there, Frank. And yeah, I've seen Jeff's video, well, part 1. I know he's got a part 2 coming up, but even just some of the drams that he's talking about, just blew me away what the opportunity you had. But I hope that the festival today was good. Was there anything that was interesting that maybe you tried that normally you would have passed by for something better? Or, you know, sometimes you do that. I found at Croydon I was trying a couple of drams that I wouldn't normally try at a bigger whiskey show. There was Whisky Live on this weekend in London. I've ended up giving away, like, I would have felt bad if I'd bought a ticket, because they started just churning out codes for free tickets to try and get people there. The lineup's just not very strong, and the locations, it's easy enough to get to on the Elizabeth line, but you're in Woolwich, you're quite a distance away. So if anybody's been there or was watching this on catch up who was maybe there today or who went yesterday, I'd love to know opinions. I've not really seen much of it. I've seen a few brands there, but to be honest, there wasn't enough brands to warrant doing that. Plus I wouldn't have been able to with the dates, just wouldn't have happened. What else we got in? Let me see. Derek, always great to have you in. Welcome back. Hope your week's been good. Hope everybody's been having a nice week. Mike, welcome. Hope you're doing well. And Hamish, I'm doing a tasting tomorrow before Ross County Dundee game in their hospitality suite. Moved from today due to Sky. all drams from north of Inverness. Okay, so what are we going for? North of Inverness. We're going Clynelish. Are we going Glenmorangie? Are we going fancy? There's some Dornoch in there. Is there some Brora in there? Is there some Balblair? Oh, I'm really trying. I'm thinking. I got a scratch off whiskey map. And the weirdest thing is, my wife got it right. She's not a whiskey person. She's actually gluten intolerant. So she can't even drink malt. And then but she noticed on it. She went, I don't know if this is up to date. And I was like, why? And she was, there was some, when I looked at it, there's some no on it that I would expect. And I'm like, so why is that? And then she was like, well, there's that one that we went to, it's not there. Glenallachie wasn't on it, but Ardnamurchan and stuff was on it. So I don't quite understand when it was made and how they missed off Glenallachie. Strange. But I can see that Hamish just came in and I got none of them. Look at that. That's top whiskey knowledge on my part. 8 doors, 10 blend, Dalmore, brilliant. Oh, yeah, fantastic. Decadent drink, the 13th Taninic, a Glenard cask strength. Oh, mate, what a tasting that'll be before the football as well. They're going to be fleeing. I assume that is it tiny measures or they'll be that Dalmore will be fantastic. I love. Is it independent? Is it an independent Dalmore? Dalmore Spirit's great. Travelling Moses States, took a bunch of sample bottles with me. Have to try the stuff I bought. Met some familiar faces. Aye, that's good. That's the main thing, as long as you get to catch up with some people. And Lowlander, I would honestly, I would love to. It was just timing. This year I've not had much Drams on the run action. There's been a lot going on, a little one and stuff, and it was the same weekend when I did look. It was the same weekend as Rangers Celtic, so accommodation and flights and stuff, and it was a bit hectic. I was so close. I really wanted to do it. So if it happens next year, great. I saw that they're doing. I did see this though, and maybe some of you guys will know. The same people are organising one, and I don't think it'll be the same extent, but they've organised one in Newcastle. Is that right? And if so, that could be a possibility. That may be something to look at. That's this year as well. I'll need to have a wee look. Evening, Jeffrey. Oh, don't need to apologise for that. Rob, welcome. Hope you're keeping well. It's a bit political. Is it some folk from White Mackay that you're entertaining? Yeah, I know. Never forget. Let me see, where's my button? Make sure I get the right bit.
Hi there.
He's never far away.
So until we meet again, Slanjiva.
I really need to set this up properly, you know.
But if I ever see you nosing it like this, I'll kill you.
As is his right. As is his right to do. So, as I said, a bit loose on the topic tonight. I did put on the Instagram that there's a video I'm going to make, or maybe a series, but probably a video I'm trying to make. Someone I was talking to who works in a form of broadcast media, like in podcasts and production and that. We were talking about the channel and the stuff I do just for fun. And he was like, you should do the one for me, one for them, one for me type approach. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you're making all these videos and stuff for yourself and you really enjoy it, but you're getting big views. And I'm like, I'm not chasing views, evidently, if you look at the numbers on my videos, but there is part of me that wants to make content that I really enjoy making, but also maybe there needs to be broader appeal. But the video and the questions I get asked the most, and I'm sure most of you guys get it as well, is I want to get into whiskey, or what's a good whiskey to start with, or oh, I don't know about whiskey because I tried this one before and I hated it, and I hate whiskey. So I was thinking about doing a video along the lines of like, so you want to get into whiskey, this is where you should start. So I thought that'd be a good wee conversation this evening amongst ourselves of, we can be too doom and gloom, right? And everybody's a bit doom and gloom at the moment, and we always end up in a doom and gloom kind of conversation where there's a bit, no moan or that, but with a wee bit of a moan. Kodja, great to see you. Welcome in. And Rob, you need to tell us more about that in the chat. Good, bad? Because there's some cracking French single malt out there. It's just getting the good stuff. It's an official Dalmore. God. 1550. Brilliant. What's the proof on it, Hamish? But yeah, as I was saying, ideally we're looking to do something that maybe is a wee bit more upbeat. Where would you start? See if somebody comes to you and they're saying, just going to pull up my notes again. They're saying to you, right, I want to get into whiskey, but here's my problems. My biggest problem is price, right? In alcohol in general, the problem with whiskey is it's price prohibitive, but most spirits are price promotion based, and what that means is there's not really a huge loyalty to your gins. Well, gin maybe a wee bit, vodkas and whiskies at a general grocer consumer level. What they are interested in is what's on promotion, and we've all been guilty of it. I remember being a student or whatever, you'd go to the supermarket, you'd want to buy a bottle of vodka or something, and you would see what was on offer, and you would buy that. And you would see these promotions, and it'd be maybe Stolly would be on offer, or there was a one Russian Standard, or there was Smirnoff or Absolute or whatever. You didn't really care because you're drinking it mixed and doing that. Whiskey, I had a wee look in the supermarket tonight before the stream, and you see the same with certain whiskies where they're constantly, the supermarket ones are constantly on price promotion. They come and go, and like Johnny Walker Black goes anywhere from, in my supermarket, 20 to 35 quid. And you see it ebbs and flows out as the tide goes. You've got Glenfiddich, ebbs and flows with the tide. Glenmorangie, ebbs and flows. Like, then you get the your Glenmurray standard one. That normally goes 20 quid, something a wee bit cheaper. Putney, a wee bit cheaper. But it's intimidating because the average person's over £15 for a bottle of spirit. They're in danger territory. And so you've got to kind of convince them that if they splurge a wee bit of money, it's worth it. But how do you get them there? Because you can say, oh, go to a pub and taste it. Not many pubs have a decent back bar. You know? It's just very, so it's been something that I've been pondering for a while. And then the other part of it is it's based on the taste. So you need to get them the good stuff. I think it's the same as wine. Buy cheap wine and it just tastes rotten, man. And the taxation on it and everything. And I'm not going down a Ralphie rant or anything like that. It's no point of this. But it's more that you want to get good stuff in their hands. So then what would you just steer them towards? And this is not based on, oh, they can buy it on the internet or whatever. You've got to just perceive that this is something that they want to be able to readily get available. But then it's also the perception of whiskey as an older person's drink. Bourbon, I think, has got a little bit more edge in the UK because of Jack Daniels, and I know it's not bourbon, but from a general populace point of view. So I think there's a little bit of that going on. And I'd like to know your thoughts on that. What do you think? Do you think that's along the right lines? Just going back to the chat here. The ABV was 45.8. Decent then. Decent. Just a nice drinker then. Lowlander. Glenmorangie 10 or 12. A decent single malt. Yep. Thompson Brothers, good blend to offer as well. Yeah, exactly. That's the lines I'm thinking. Introducing them in on something. And I'm going to ask that question later on. Like if you had to pick a whiskey, something for you to think about now, but we can maybe put it in the chat when I kind of get to that point. But of each region as well. If you're trying to introduce people to regions, something that's approachable, accessible, not dream drams or anything for us, but just have that thought in line. It's something I'm trying to work on and understand how can we broach it. Codger, yep. It's up. Tomorrow's video, March Dram Madness. It's a great whiskey, isn't it? I think for 5 years old and for the price and at that proof, really excited by what Glasgow are doing. I think the stuff's getting better and better as time goes on. And Frank would hate it. You're right, because it's a sweet peat. Sweet peat all day. Then more Deanston 12 to Delaware. Deanston 12, was it 12? Virgin Oak was on offer and 18 was on offer again on this Amazon Spring Week. Did anybody get it? That's a good question. Was it you last week that was talking about it? Linda? From the Fife Festival, you tried it? Or did you already have it? You picked it up at the festival? Alright. Yep, agree. Whiskey cocktails, but again, it's getting. This is where I landed in the same ballpark, Hamish. I was thinking if you're going to try and start somebody in whiskey, I wouldn't start them on Scotch. I'd start them in bourbon. I'd probably say like. I actually wrote down Woodford Reserve because I think you can make a cracking old fashioned with Woodford Reserve, and it's got that very cherry cola ease to it. Get a little bit higher proof. I think it's like 45.1. Have I got a bottle? Yeah. I can't see a bottle to hand now, but it's in that wheel park, and I think that is a way of getting people into drinking maybe stronger spirit neat or having it in the cocktail, and then moving them onto malt. And they might not like malt. Like my brother isn't a malt whiskey drinker at all. He loves bourbon. Just doesn't drink malt. Doesn't agree with him. And that's fine. But he likes a bourbon, and he'll have it neat, and he'll have it in a cocktail, and have it with ice. And so I think it's that thinking of how do we get people drinking more, because the industry needs it. We need people buying more. Like, there needs to be a bit of a wave again. Codger. Up to 5 years ago, anything that wasn't whiskey rum was my tipple. Then it was a Glenmorangie 10. Got a bit of Grand Chelsea and boom, I'm a whiskey nerd. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the funny thing, isn't it? It's finding that just where it hits your palate, and that Glenmorangie is a perfect example of that. I think it's like a great supermarket whiskey. And that's not disparaging it. I think compared to what else is out there, and when I did the Dram Madness video on it, it got through to a certain stage because of how accessible and easy it was. But weirdly, when it was up against, I think it was a Woven, wasn't it? The mouthfeel and the originess at the start, yes, it lands great as a start, like a first dram. But as soon as I went on to something a little bit more nuanced, I felt it go. But that's fine. That's fine. It's not a criticism. It's just the nature of the drink, isn't it? Of what it is. I need to find a way so that when I click on these comments, they don't jump all up and about, and I have to look and fix them. So I do apologise. How do we pronounce this? Nagulin? Nagulin was good, but not really my thing. All ex-Bordeaux cast. So, like, was it quite tannic? I find a lot sometimes red wine cast, it gets really dry in the throat. Scrapes the top of the mouth. Exceptional, drinks nowhere near the ABV. This is the I assume I'll talk about the Glasgow. I was getting mixed up there with Lowlander as well, because I asked Lowlander about the Aquavite Daffmill. I've heard really good things. It's Daffmill. Did anybody pick up any of those Daffmill releases? They released a hell of a lot in one go. Like, there was single casts flying left, right and centre. I'm sad to say I never bought any. But yeah, there was tons. I don't know where it all came from. Then it was Aaron 10. Yep, great shout as well. And I wonder if it's... I did it with someone, this was a couple of years ago, around about Christmassy time. Never knew much about whiskey, but wanted to get into whiskey. And we were on a works dinner, so I never had to worry about price. Somebody else was picking up the tab. And we were in... What's the name of it? It's on the tip of my tongue. I was going to say Bodine's, but that's a barbecue place. Nope. Oh, that's really annoying me. I'm going to have to, sorry. I don't want to be Googling while I'm on live, but I need to type this in and see. It's a Scottish bar and restaurant. Boysdale's. I was close. Bodine's. Boysdale's at Canary Wharf. And I just asked him what he fancied and if he liked sweet or like Christmassy stuff. And so we got my Tamdu cast strength to have, and he fell in love with it. I think sometimes it's just checking the palate of somebody as well. And we'd already had some wine and stuff, so we needed something a little bit cut through. Obviously, we added water to it. But you have to kind of know them. But I'm thinking, if I was doing that broadly, I don't think I would be sending someone onto whiskey with a Tamdu cast strength. Do you know what I mean? So it's Aaron, perfect. Lowlander backing it up. Mixing Norfolk PX. New Make Striven just now roughly 40-60 split, if that counts as a homemade sherry bomb. I can imagine. Christ. It's a great price, Hamish, isn't it? Absolutely great price. Have you seen more of the... I've seen more of the Glenmorangie ads, videos with Harrison Ford. Like, they're just... I think that campaign... I've said it a million times. That campaign just lands, just scratches the itch. And I think they're missing a trick by not just, like, having the bottle of Glenmorangie on a bar or him in the background or whatever, and it just says, nice. Nothing complex, it's just nice. I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm talking about though. We need to start using language. We need to be really careful with our language. We can overcomplicate it. God, the Drams videos, I'm trying to pull out flavours every video and this and that and memories, and it would be a boring video if I just went, I like that one, oh I like that one, but I prefer this done. But I think that's definitely where it's going. Roger prefers a port finish to a red wine one. I tried the port, I think I said this last week, I tried the port Wireworks at Croydon Whisky Festival, and it was alright. But the way people had been going on about it, I thought it was going to be like a Ribena type porty finish, and it wasn't so much. I don't mind a red wine cask, I don't mind that. I think it's just all depends on the liquid. Why is it getting finished in this cask? There's still some bad actors out there who put not great whiskies into these casks to just try and buff them up a wee bit and ship them out. So I'm always a wee bit wary of it. Yeah, the Daft Milk's hanging about in a lot of places as well. I know people are snapping them up, but I think a lot of people are snapping them up to just punt them online and ship them to auction. I'm just looking at my Drams, what I've got, and I ballsed up because for some reason I thought this Loch Lomond was a decent, just like, proof, and then I've just looked at it and it's 55.7. And then I've got the Paul Noir, which is sitting at, what, 57.1. And then I was going to get the Kilkerran, and that's 55.6. These are all a bit wreck the house juice, early doors. But where are we starting? Where will we start? I need to open the Loch Lomond, don't I? Let's get into that. Absolute bargain. It came with wee free bottles as well, miniatures. Bit of ASMR. See if I can do it one-handed.
Hi there.
So yeah, I'm on the Loch Lomond. I've not done my usual ask, guys. What's everybody got in the glass? I know a couple of you have already said, but do let me know. Oh, need to let that breathe a wee bit. It's quite punchy out the gates for me. There's another Mike asking if anyone's picking it up. Drams solo, exactly, man. There's a million, there's so much. It's such a perfect collaboration. Rob's saying he doesn't get them. I don't know. I don't think there's so much for us. You've got to kick back and think, right. I think weirdly, it's the best piece of whiskey advertising I've seen in a long time that is aimed at the occasional whiskey drinker and aimed at a foreign market, America, Middle America, as well as the coast. Harrison Ford's beloved of lots of people, but he's also known as being cantankerous and moody. And I think that's why they don't dress up the whiskey, but they play into the Highland tropes of going to Scotland and there's a castle and there's the hills and the heather and the kilts and all that, but he just sits and he drinks the whiskey and he enjoys it. And I think he's no prone to flinging his face on things either, so it kind of gives it a bit of credibility to it. And I think that's why they work really well. And also it's aimed at a whiskey audience, but the general public can buy into it as well. As a gifter, someone might see that and then see the bottle on the shelf and go, oh, Harrison Ford likes it, that's fine, I'll get it. Whereas I think some of the advertising for some whiskey recently has just been too scattergunned. It's aimed at anybody but a whiskey drinker. And as we're talking about tonight, it's no easy to get into whiskey. You can't just dress up an ad and say, right, you need to like this now. How do you educate people? How do you get people to drink it and taste it? The irony is the perceptions of women in whiskey. Like the general public think that it's a man's drink and it's this and it's old fashioned and it's that, and we know just how important and the influence that women have in whiskey and their palates and their noses. And if you're a whiskey enthusiast, you know that whiskey people are male and female. You know that. You don't think it's a guy's game. But I think sometimes when some of the brands are targeting, will try to get new audiences to whiskey, they're bypassing the whiskey audience and they're trying to go to like a younger audience or this audience, and the palate's just not there for them. There's no reason they're going to move from the normal drinks they're having to whiskey. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, how do you introduce people to something like that? That's it. It's an open-ended question. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But the long and short of it is, I think that's what those adverts do. I think those whiskey adverts, it's the first time in a long time I've seen whiskey adverts aimed at whiskey people. Like drinkers. And if that makes, the way I always explain it to people, if the occasional whiskey drinker buys one bottle of one bottle of any whiskey a year, or it's a Christmas present and it's one bottle a year you get, no big, but they drink it. If that makes them finish their whiskey and then buy another bottle of Glenmorangie, that doubles the sales. Like, it's as simple as that. If you make someone that buys one bottle a year buy 2 bottles a year, that's doubling your sales. And you can still share of that one per year drinker. You can still share of the gifting audience. But it influenced me to the point I went out and bought a bottle for the first time in ages, because it brought it front of mind, and I thought, I need to pick up a bottle of that and see how it's going, especially with the move to the 12. So that's my theory on it. That's not to say it's right or wrong. I think if you don't get it, you don't get it, and it's not for you. But I think that's what I would believe to be the theory behind it. And fair play to them, because like you look at what they do with Ardbeg, the advertising around that and who they target, and it's all over the place. Just say hashtag just say no to Winecast finish. The Lecheg Sinclair series and the Red Winecast, that was alright. yeah, loads on auction at the moment. I'm assuming we're talking about the Daft Mill. Tons, man, and it's no gone for above. It is spendy though. Yeah, that is the Daft Mill. It needs to warm up my palate first. Baltimore 12 followed by a Bal Blair, mate. Derek, great choices. Speyburn 18. So I'll be honest, I'm not big on the Speyburn hype. Not the hype. I think I tried the lowest. What is that? 12. And then I tried 15. And neither kind of tickled me. But I know some people like love it. Just never similar. Just never really got much going for me. Hamish knows a taxi driver in Inverness who had them in the vehicle. Good tip, but no crack. Nah, carry them. That's it. Because I think what you see in that advert is very. I think it works because it's very true to source. Evening, Mark. Hope you're well. Drink a Kilhoman small batch. Fantastic. Where's that one? Why is that not in my... Try to see what that is, Rob. Strange, it's not coming up in that chat, but it came up in that chat. Drink a small Holman. Matured 9 year in a wheated bourbon barrel. How's that? I bet you that's brilliant. I really like the Kilhoman. I think doing that Dram Madness is it's helped me segment a lot of drams into certain flavour wheels and stuff. And the Kilhoman peat, just that farmy, such a farmy one. Cameron Bridge 12. The 100% proof. We were talking about that last week, weren't we? It's okay. The thing with me, it's the age statement. I normally find stuff like that needs to be quite significantly older to really get the best out of it. But that's just me. Absolute bargain, that, Codger. 60 quid. So that's for the 18. It's 60 quid. I saw one today. There was on, I think it's what's the name of it? Let me just double check. I think it's the Bottle Shop. Is that right? Somebody posted it in Vin's Whiskey Deals. The Bottle Club. The Singleton 19. On the Bottle Club for $66.47. The 2021 special release. Glendullan. Refill American Oak, finished in ex-cognac cask. And at that price, you kind of think to yourself, maybe. I like Glendullan. Like, if it was Glenord, I'd probably jump quicker at it. Saw that. Fantastic. What an effort. See, if I had the funds at the moment, I would absolutely be all in on it. But know that they need any more of my money, to be fair, at the moment. A couple of big backers early doors. I think there was like 3 people and they were over 1.2 million. So they've got investment, people that are putting the money in. But I think it's an act of good faith for a lot of people. A lot of people really love what those guys are doing up there. They've got the support of the community and it's worked. Fair play. This Loch Lomond is opening up in the glass, and it says on it tropical refill. You got lot of yellow fruit on the nose. You can see in the glass it's quite Don't know if my colouring's off, whatever, but it's quite pale. Sure. Just try to sort these wee bits out. Let's be going. If I missed anything. Yeah. They have really well done. And all fingers and thumbs crossed for them. I think they've started they broke the ground yet up there. I think I saw an Instagram post and they had a few people up there. They had a couple of guys from Ardnamurchan. They had some of the Woven guys up there. They're always really, I think I'm really enjoying seeing, if you follow these, look into the brands and ambassadors and people behind the brands on Instagram, there's such a core little, no little, but a core collection in that whiskey space of collaboration and conversation and stuff. And I think it needs it because it is tough times at the moment. And you're seeing distilleries scale back production and stuff like that. So for the smaller independents and the ones that don't have the big mega bucks behind them, the collaboration effort definitely is there. Don't know if anybody got the Ardnamurchan Donnock collab blend type thing that they did, and they've done a couple of ones like that before. I think that's really encouraging to see. I think it's a really nice thing to do, and also it helps cross promote with people, doesn't it? I seen that Glenmorangie Lowlander at 46 quid. I actually saw it. I don't know if it was as low as that. Where was I flying to? I was flying to Munich for Oktoberfest in September. And it was out of Terminal 2 of, I think it was Terminal 2, Terminal 3 at Heathrow. And I saw it and I asked at the big duty-free whiskey bit, can I try it? And you would have thought I'd shat my hands and clapped. The reaction I got, and I was like, okay, cool. I kind of regret not buying it, but I wouldn't have been able to get it home because it was hand luggage only I had, and I had no case or any way of. There was no way of getting it back from Germany. But at that price, who knows? Maybe, do you know? Is it all world duty frees that have it, or is it only certain airports? I'm sure there's people out there that can put a call out, and somebody travelling or that will be able to pick one up for you. Let me see if I can I drop this link in the chat? Is this going to be a viable? Am I going to break the stream? Let's see. So if I do that, make sure there's no volume. Going to my own chat via this. I'm going to drop this link in because I think this is it's such a deal. Does this work? Boom. There we go, in the chat. And then I think in terms of bargains, it's got to be up there. Pin it there then. Message pinned. Look at me. Technology, eh? Derek got a couple picked up for me unbeatable at that price. Exactly. There's bargains out there, and there's snobbery around some whiskies and stuff, and like that Singleton or Glenmorangie or that might be overlooked. At that price, I picked up at Christmas time, during Black Friday, November, I picked up the Singleton 12 gift set, and it was 2 glasses, tumbler style glasses, and I bought a Singleton 12 for 25 quid. Because I just wanted a whiskey to keep in the house that was an easy drinker, pleasant. I didn't have to think about it much. It was a Christmas period. If somebody was coming over and they wanted a wee whiskey, I could give them that, and that would more than satisfy them as well. It might be worth buying the cheapest flight. When I just into the duty free shop to buy the bottle, then walk at the airport without taking the flight. Glasgow Airport had a big problem with that. where people were buying, and I know this because the guy told me, we were talking to him at the shop. People were buying flights to Dublin or Spain, just Ryanair flights. Just after the pandemic, after lockdowns and that had stopped, and they were coming in and buying their whiskey, and then they weren't making the flight. They were just weren't showing up on the flight. And it became such a problem that I can't remember what process they were putting in place, but it was like a really strict process that they had in place for a while because people were just doing it. They were buying like £1, £2 flights, £5 flights, and then rocking up, going through it all, and then just exiting. Because Glasgow Airport, it's quite easy to do that because you just would, you would just walk up to where the gates, like the gates for like the British Airways flights and stuff are, walk around and then come down and straight out because there's no really any security there. So I don't know if you've done that yourself. Also, to be honest, see if you were doing that, you could do it with other stuff in duty free as well, couldn't you? So it is a bit of a dodgy area. You're getting tobacco and stuff like that. We do not condone such actions on this stream. Let's say that. Let's cover ourselves. Yeah, Mike, they do. It's some. I don't know if Glasgow had started doing that. Maybe that's what they were doing at that point. I've had that happen in foreign airports. I've had that happen in American airports where you buy it, cigarettes or whatever. I remember I was buying cigarettes for a family member coming back from the States, and that's what they did. And then you picked it up at your gate, which was strange because it was at Miami, because we'd get diverted and stuff. And I don't even know how you would get out of that airport. We walked for miles in there. Right, let's get back to this. These notes, where are they? So, we were talking about the issues that face them, and Hamish kind of mentioned some points that I've jotted down here, but it'd be good to know, how can we make it easier? How can we get more people into whiskey? So we'd said about cocktails, and I think cocktails is definitely an avenue that is so underexplored, and I've seen that Woven have been pushing it in their socials. They're really making a big push on highballs, as they should, as more whiskey brands should. I know Ardna Merkin have done some kind of cocktail stuff. I've got a wee bottle behind me from the Good Spirits Company that was like an Ardna Colada, they called it. It was like a pina colada that had been kind of concocted up, and that was lovely. But I think we're too precious with the whiskey. Personally, I think we are far too precious with it. And if people want to fling it in cocktails, they should absolutely do it. We should encourage it. I think it's just educating people what types of whiskey to put in certain cocktails. Look at, was it Colin Dunn that came up with the smoky cokey, Lagavulin and Coke, and that would kill some people. But look, it's shifted bottles of Lagavulin, and at the end of the day, that's what it needs to do. If you had multiple bottles bought from airports, that way and open them all when you get home, you could actually call it a flight. I'm gonna say that again, Hamish, and I'm gonna give you the actual credit you deserve for that fantastic joke of sorts. If you had multiple bottles bought from the airport that way and opened them all when you get home, could you actually call it a flight? See, I've got the buttons. I need you guys, need that content. You set them up and I'll knock them down. Oh, the full fat Coke. obviously, just full fat Coke, the smoky cokey. I've tried it myself. I've done just kind of whiskey and cokes, and I did whiskey and iron brews. I was trying out some, like, would this work for a video and that? Iron brew does not go well with whiskey. I'm sorry. I really tried, and there used to be the White Mackay advert. I remember talking in the 90s, where it was a Scottish comedian, blast from my past, Phil Kay, and it was like this weird range of like surrealist, just weird like alt comedy. And one of his ones was he was drinking the White Mackay, and he's sitting in a chair in like a stuffy members club, and he says, "No man is an island unless his name is Madagascar." I remember that. And then there's one where he's in the bar, snooty bar, and he goes, "White Mackay," and everybody's just chatting. And he goes, "With iron brew," and it goes really, really silent. I remember those ads. Whether that's like the Mandela effect and that they don't actually exist, we don't know. But look, if people like it that way, they like it that way. Who am I to criticise? But it's definitely a factor. So I think cocktails are definitely a factor we can explore. I think modernisation is happening with certain brands. I think certain brands are leaning in to cleaner, more modern. Like I use Woven as an example a lot. I think their bottles are perfect for a certain type of audience. And I always joke that you could put them on your shelf and pretend they're fancy soaps or something if you had to smuggle them in somewhere. I think, like, even I'm looking at the Ardnamurchan bottling, like their branding, quite clean, quite modern font. You're always going to have the traditional heritage brands, and that's fine. But the modernisation, but that leads on to the next point, which is I think the size of bottles might have to change. Like, why don't we do more 200ml bottles or 250 if you want to be pedantic, but like something that's a little bit small, more affordable in the pocket. Let people try it. I know it would cost more, and I know it would affect the bottom line. I get that, but it's a bit chicken and egg. And the reason it would cost more is because of the bottling process and because of having to buy different glassware and all that comes with it. But you're trying to hook people in, and a bottle of whiskey at 60, 70 quid is a purchase. It needs to be an informed purchase. It's a purchase that has a lot of thought and weight behind it. Whereas maybe a bottle at so say about 70 quid at 700ml, maybe it's 30 quid for that 200, 250ml, and you take the punt. You think, I'm going to try it. I think you could shift more, weirdly, at that. And think about it, if it's 200ml for a 30 quid, then that's 600ml for 90 quid. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a way in for more exclusive bottlings, but then smaller bottlings, you get 50cl, that's no hooking anybody. And then you do see these smaller bottles, like I've got the Springbank ones, the tasting bottles. Like, why not more of that? Just in general. Go to the distillery. Distillery shops are my bugbear, where it's 150 quid for a hand pour and shit like that. Give me a decent hand pour at 40, 50 quid. Smaller bottle. Happy. All day. MH, my audience at the tasting tomorrow will be more receptive, especially after 5 lunchtime drams. Exactly. Rob doesn't drink cocktails that often, but always, yeah, exactly. I'm not a big cocktail guy. In my younger days, I used to get annoyed with cocktails because they're like, you're paying all that money and you're only getting a single shot of alcohol, and then it's just fruit juice and ice. But I would like to think I'm a little bit more cultured now, and I'm not as dismissive of cocktails, and I'm always willing to kind of have those new experiences. Yeah, the 1901. So living down here, living down south, the obviously bloody Jamie Oliver sugar tax, and the impact that it had on normal iron brew. I kind of missed all that because I don't drink much Iron Brew, to be fair, down here. But when I'm home, I'll pick up a can or whatever. So all that had happened. And then but it was down here. I just picked it like a year later or something. Picked up a can of Iron Brew normal and I tasted it and I was like, what is this? It tastes like Diet Iron Brew, which you don't get anymore. They call it Diet Iron Brew Extra, don't they? And I was like, oh, this is horrible. And then it was after that, I think it was like another 6 months or so, the 1901 came out. 1901, all day, every day. All day, every day. That's Iron Brew. Like that full sugary, clinging to your teeth, scraping your teeth when you drink it now as an adult. But that's proper Iron Brew. It just doesn't sit well with whiskey. That was the 1901 I used with it because I can get on Amazon the little 12 pack of cans case. So I normally pick one of those up and just have it in here. Actually, I need to reorder one. And making Red Label, I don't know about that. I don't know if... There's a few whiskies I'll criticise as like undrinkable, but Red Label's up there for me. It's really tough. But it does remind me, it was a gateway whiskey on flights. When you used to be able to get cans of soda as well, like soda water. So I'd have Scotch and soda, and they'd give you the Red Label soda. And that's a very distinct taste for me. So I quite like a cheap whiskey and soda. Yes, they are. Exactly. Cadenheads are good for that. They always have the 200ml bottles. And I think that's maybe what planted the seed in my head as well of, can we see more of that? Brands, can we get more of those types of bottlings so that we can get more good whiskey out to people? And I'm sure the brands themselves would love to, and the distilleries. And I think it's just cost, I would assume. Because those small bottles with hand pour, hand fill. Yeah, because you wouldn't feel as obligated. It's such, and it's coming from a whiskey drinker, right? So imagine if you're a non-whiskey drinker and you want to get into it, and then you're looking about and you're like, I want to buy a wee collection of whiskies and get into them and try different things. You go to a bar, and the way bars are going now, you're a tenner a pour, like, you know, for something decent. You're not taking that punt. Again, it's a punt. You want to buy the bottle of it, and you're like, oh, it's 45, 50 quid. I don't want to do that. But 200 mils, maybe 20 quid. And you've got the bottle at home and you can take it and sip it, and you're not pouring yourself normal size measures or maybe whatever. I think it's such an open goal that's sitting there, but it's just that I can understand it is the production. And the pot, Nylon Redacted are releasing some of their bottles in 20. Yeah. 20 mil. Are you meaning 200 mil or you meaning 20 mil, like small ones? Taking two almost newbies to whiskey foods and chemical based converts. Just got to make sure they pace themselves and keep themselves hydrated. Yeah, and if you've taken them, are you guiding them? Are you saying let's try this and try that, or are you letting them go wild themselves? We were talking at the dinner tonight with my brother-in-law's girlfriend, and she's teetotal. She doesn't drink anymore. She quit, and but she knows I love it. And she was looking at for my birthday, get me a whiskey show ticket, and then she saw the price of it, and I was saying, oh no, when you go, once you're in, so you can have loads of stuff, but actually you want to pace yourself and you need to know, and it's really difficult. And she's like, how do you know what to try and if you'll like it or not? I know a lot, and I'm like, well, they have spittoons and you can pour it out and stuff. You've got to be quite disciplined, but I always find the first year or two when you go to these whiskey shows, you just go to the same stands because you go and try what you like, as opposed to taking the opportunity to go, I'm going to try everything that I've never had, rather than what I know I like, and then I can always go to what I like at some point. Well, yeah, with the Iron Brew. It's such a shame, but look, taste buds change, accents change. This is something that mine's has obviously changed. I am myself, but we've been a hypocrite because obviously my accent's changed, but the accent in Glasgow's changed. Like, people don't sound how they used to sound in Glasgow. They sound like me. Like, I live in London. Shouldn't it be like that? Right, we're having a wee Ardnamurkin. Pont Loire. I think this is the 2023 that the good guys in my whiskey group got me for the birth of my daughter. So cheers to them. So from a Chardonnay cask to a Pont Loire champagne cask. Unintentionally doing wine casks tonight, despite the hate. Walked out the Cotswold whiskey shop in the village and they had 200 ml. Exactly, Codger. You see that and you think, oh, give me that. You walk in there and you see 700 ml bottles at £95, £90. You're not doing the same. You're not reacting the same way. Depends on the whiskey, obviously, but you see something like that and you think, that's a bargain, I'm going to have that. That's great. I can try that with like less post-purchase regret. So it's an element of it that I think it'd be nice to explore. But I might reach out to a couple of people that work in whiskey and ask them so I can get a wee bit more of a informed opinion on it. Because at the moment I'm just assuming that they're not doing it because of the production line and the way of doing stuff. No worries, Derek. I thought that. But yeah, it's a great idea. 200 ml. Give me that. I'll say I guided them, but it's Peter's confirmed with me. It was likely the deaf leading the blind. So, we're spitballing the ideas. We're saying modernisation, cocktails, smaller bottles. These will make bringing people in easier. There's 4 bottles I wrote down here to recommend to non-whiskey drinkers or someone wanting to get into whiskey, newcomers coming into whiskey. And they're really basic bottles in that there's nothing spectacular about these 4. I just picked them off the top of my head because they're fairly easily accessible. I think of these, maybe 2, maybe 1 actually, maybe 2 are in bars. But you should be able to pick them up. You could get them on Amazon. In the UK, I think you could get them in most big supermarkets. And I went with, I'll start from the bottom because I've already mentioned it. I went for the Woodford Reserve as a bourbon choice. A little bit more elevated in price. I get that. But I would bank on someone getting the Woodford Reserve, new to whiskey with it, and enjoying it. So I wouldn't feel bad at recommending that. Then I put down the Singleton 12 for the same reasons that I actually said. It's really inoffensive, it's sweet, it's easy enough, you can just enjoy it. And it's not abrasive, and it's low ABV, it's 40%. It's a nice big bottle. I think if it comes in a box, even better. All these little factors matter for new people coming into anything. It's the same as when people buy a car. It's like a 60-day purchase window that you go through. When you make a decision, you're going to start looking for a new car, to when you buy a new car, it's normally 60 days. That's the average. And then, but it's normally, you count it as all car brands count it as a 90-day window, because it's the 30 days afterwards that are the most important. It's the post-purchase journey. And I think even a whiskey, buying a bottle, popping it, drinking it, and looking at it on a shelf, all that matters for somebody new into whiskey. Absolutely it does. And I think the Singleton 12 has a bit of that panache. So I've put that down. I put down more specialist, but the Compass Box Orchid House. I just think it's apples all day. You can mix it with lemonade, you can mix it with soda. I feel like I repeat myself because I say it so often, but it's, if you're new to whiskey, there you go. There's an apple sensation on the nose, on the palate. You'll be really shocked that whiskey can smell like this and taste like this, and that's what you want to do. So I put that down. And then there's another blend. I put down Johnny Walker, but I put down Green Label. Because I was thinking, oh, you could do McLean's Nose, or you could do Thompson Brothers, or whatever. But I'm trying to think, if you're supermarket shopping, or you're in a bar or that, they're more likely to have that than anything else. Black Label's the obvious one, but the Green Label's just a step up. And it's a wee bit smoky. So you get, do you know what I mean? Like, it's got what you need on it. I think it's a wee bit smoky. It's been a wee while since I had Green Label. But I was trying to think from the viewpoint of a newbie and what they would really enjoy. And I think that was it. Evening, Craig. Great to have you in. Hope you're keeping well. What's in the glass this evening? Are you on bourbon tip? Or are you on some scotch? Or what's going on? And Cod just saying, completely off subject, just watching Burniston, nae rolls. Funniest thing I've seen in a while. I would I know the nae roll one. I would recommend, if you've not seen it, on Amazon, the last one, Laughing program. I watched that before we started this tonight, and I was pissing myself. I think it's great. I really needed the laugh. Really, really tickled me. Some of it, not so much, but there's some scenes in it that just, you need that absurdness. So they were my 4. I'd love to know in the chat, guys. You don't even need to pick 4. Just shout out. I know some people said Aaron 10 already and whatever. But if you're in a supermarket, we've had Glenmorangie, absolutely. I think that works. I think you'll find it in a bar. Is there anything else we're missing? Like in the Morrisons near me, occasionally there's a Loch Lomond peated. Decent whiskey. If you're going for something and cheap. Evening, Craig. Craig saying Johnny Walker Island Green is a small step above Green Label and at a great price point. It is. I would agree at a price point. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I had that. I tried that. But is it only available? Is that not only available in like certain retail environments or in airports and stuff? But the Green Label for me is just, it's the best. In my opinion, it's the best Johnny Walker. I think it's just great value. When you get it on deal, prices have been a wee bit all over the place, but when you get it on deal, it's fantastic. PSA, no whiskies in the supermarket around here. Do you need to go? Is it in the Netherlands? Is it government sanctioned places, or is it? You need to forgive my ignorance. Craig saying Lafroig 10, 29 quid all day. Yep, really good. Would you give that to? Would that be a? Craig, we were talking about beginners, people wanting to get into whiskey. So as a smoky pick, I could absolutely see that. And I think we'll come on to that. After this, I'm going to suggest kind of one from each region. Say they want to build out a wee collection. Or they're trying to build out a collection of whiskies that are easily available but good. And I was thinking along the lines of, yes, they can order online as well, but it's price, keep a wee price limit on it. But if you were to go to somebody's house and they're like, oh, do you fancy a wee whiskey? Oh, I hear you like whiskey. And then they offered you one, there's a bottle from each region. How happy would you be with each one? The Burniston look good for the lassies, but feel like a dickhead sketch is hilarious. It reminds me of so many people I worked with at the time. The one that always got me that was weird is the 11 in the lift, because that went viral in Korea, of all places. It went huge in Korea, the 11 one, with the subtitles. blew my mind. It was so funny. I couldn't understand why that was a thing over there, of all the ones. And then we were getting a taxi. I was in Dingo in December, and the taxi driver brought it up. This older Irish guy driving us from the airport started going on about it. He's going 11. Like, the power of Burniston. The 2 litre bottle of ginger one as well. That's a good one. Amy said, surprised in my summer working in a whiskey shop doing tasting how many folk having their first ever whiskies like Pete, including several ladies. Yeah, and I think it's a palate thing as well, isn't it? It depends. I think a lot of when we're labelling everybody that likes Pete first attempt, that's not what I'm doing. But smokers, I think you need to take that into account as well of how much that impacts palate, and Pete can cut through that. Like cigar malts and that are trying to do that, but. Evening, Matt. Good to have you in. Just lurking there in the background. Canpie Planet. I'm sure most people in this chat watch your stuff, mate. I hope you're keeping well. And Green Label for the win. Yep. Abelow 12 for beginners. Highland Park 12 is my introduction. Like, these are all. I think we're in such a fortunate place that there's so much good whiskey out there. It's just helping people navigate it and find it. How can we make sure they do that? How can we get more of it out there? Piet's saying in the Netherlands, it's not been allowed to sell alcohol above 22% in the supermarket. Right. You see it in an adjacent store, but I never go there. So is that, it's quite similar. They do something a wee bit similar. The States is obviously mental, the size of it, and the way different states have different laws and that. But like the Walmarts will have like just a separate store, like across the car park from them. Yeah, fantastic. I think Classic Laddie. I don't know if we're just, there's certain whiskies that you just become blind, a wee bit blind to, but I think Classic Laddie's definitely on my list. I was going to put it down, so that was the next question I was going to ask. A bottle from each region. If you had to pick a bottle from each region to do and recommend to them. So this new person, new to whiskey, wants to get into whiskey, they've came to you for some help, and they said, right, I want a bottle from each region. What are you going for? So the first one I went for, I went Isla, and I thought, Boona 10. I'd give them a Boona 10. No, because I'm keeping away from Pete. I come on to a Pete. I went Boona 10 for Isla. I just think it's a cracking dram. It's another one that sometimes you kind of forget. You overlook, or people overlook, because it's so traditionally looking and they can't see the liquid because of the black bottle and stuff like that. Classic Laddie was in my thinking. It definitely was. Rob saying Big Ellicky 13 is something I'll give to newbies. Get another cracking dram. BC 10, fantastic star. Pete, WTF, never smoked, but always like Pete. Yeah, I don't think you have to smoke to like the Pete, but I think some people I've noticed aren't as adverse to it or don't get the impact on it, on the nose or on the taste because of the smoke. Dulls their taste buds. My mum smokes, and we did. I got to try some cast strength bourbon, and she was like, "That's lovely." And then I got to try just like 40% bourbon, and she's like, "Oh, that's really watery." Right off the bat, she does not drink neat spirits at all. She doesn't really even drink. Lowlander's question, Rob saying, yes, it's great stuff, but not sure if he'd offer it to somebody who's not had whiskey before, a bit too much going on for them. I can see that, but I think there's a nice... how best to put it? I get what you mean. There's too much going on, but there can be sometimes you can set the bar just a little bit higher than where you would normally start them, and maybe I would say what 3 and 2. I'm trying to do the maths. 3 and 10 people maybe will be like, wow, that's fantastic. A couple of them will be like, no for me, and then some of them will just be like, I don't really know what's going on there. I think I find that with the Tesco blend, the Thompson Brothers one, where a couple of people not so much into whiskey loved it. The majority, just, well, it wasn't really for them. They couldn't really get into it at all. Appreciate that, Campai Planet, Mac. I'm glad somebody does. I don't know if my wife will be saying that tomorrow, Mother's Day. Rob saying possibly, but I like challenging them. Yeah, exactly. Don't make it too easy for the newbies. And Pete Head, he's never smoked himself, but the first time he tasted quarter cask, I was hooked on Pete'd. Got my nickname. The quarter cask is fantastic. That's my favourite Lafroig. Know that I've tried many, to be fair. I know a couple of people that are absolutely mad on Lafroig, and go for everything, but the quarter cask for me was just fantastic. And weirdly, at the whiskey show last year, there was a Korean whiskey called Ki1, or called KI1, and I tried their peated stuff, and it instantly, the first thing that came to mind for me was Lafroig quarter cask. Like, it dug deep into my brain and went, that's the reference point. And I told them that. I said, the biggest compliment I can give you is this reminds me of Lafroig quarter cask. Whether they took it as a compliment or not, whether it was even peated, can't remember. Amy's just saying for Lowlands, Kingsban Balcomie, mix of sherry and bourbon cask. Campbelltown is going Glen Scotia rum cask, or the 15 if you can get it on sale. Oh, for the newbies. How do we feel about rum casks? Because my palate, a lot of the time, rum casks I feel just taste like rum. I know they're supposed to, I get that, but sometimes I think it dominates the spirit too much, and you need to be really careful with it. So I don't know if that Glen Scotia has been that careful with it. So I'm saying Isla, Bunnahabhain 10. Then for Campbelltown, because we'll talk about that, I just went Springbank 10. If they can pick it up. Starting to pop up again. Starting to pop up. But I figure if you're in for a penny and for a pound, and bear in mind, I'm trying to think if this was me getting invited to their house for dinner or that, and they've got a selection of whiskies, I'd be quite happy if the Springbank 10 sitting there. I thought, okay, I can go there and drink that, and I wouldn't feel too guilty about drinking a whiskey. So I'd go Springbank 10. Peterhead Frank saying, never have started my day with whiskey, to be honest. Not even when you go to Glasgow. Frank, not even when you're at the Glasgow Festival. Surely that's how you kick off your day. Bit of breakfast. Get some haggis on your plate, some whiskey sauce. Crazy to think that King Barnes' oldest whiskey is now 10. I know. The years. It's mad to think that 5 years has went past since the world went crazy. Like, that everything changed. 5 years. It was 5 years ago coming up that I started making YouTube videos on this channel. It was a couple of years later before I kind of started doing it a bit more serious, but the journey, lifetime. And I feel like that's how a lot of these brands kind of got a cheat code, because there was a few years there where the years came automatically. And Glen Scotia double cask. I don't see much of double cask anymore, if I'm honest. Maybe it's because I'm not looking for it, but there was a period where it was really like readily available and quite cheap. And I bought a bottle of it, and I'm sure it's at my father-in-law's. I'm sure it's at his house. Down the garden, he's got a wee cabin in his garden. And I'm sure he doesn't drink whiskey. He's not allowed to drink whiskey. Hence why I have this giant collection behind me, because I've got no one to help with. But I'm sure I took some, and it's still there. I'll need to see next time I'm over. Rob's saying, when I first got into Scotch, I was drinking unpeated, and I tried a peaty Scotch, and my eyes and palate was opened. That happens a lot. So when I used to work in a bar in Glasgow. So anybody that knows Glasgow or frequents Glasgow or whatever, there's a bar on Holland Street, just off Suckhill Street, called the State Bar. And I started working in the State Bar when I turned 19. Just after I turned 19, I started working in the State Bar. And I remember one day, I must have been 19 or 20, somebody had ordered a whiskey, wrong whiskey was poured, and it was a Lagavulin. And I'd just finished the day shift. So it was like 6 o'clock, it was like a 10 till 6 I worked. And I went round the other side of the bar, and my boss said, "Here, do you want this with some Coke?" And "Oh no, do you want this?" And I said, "Aye." And I said, "Oh well, no, I don't like whiskey. Give me it with Coke." And I remember trying it neat, and then I remember him giving it with Coke, and I was just like, this is the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life. It tastes like chewing on a burnt stick. That's what it brought to mind. And then I tried another one a couple of years later, and I want to say it must have been like a Port Charlotte or something. It was like Brute Laddie. Was it Brute Laddie? It felt like something. It was definitely something from Ireland. And again, I was just like, this is not, I can't do this. I don't like it. But over the years, working in there used to be a domino tournament, three times a week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday. Oh no, Wednesday, Thursday. Was it Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday? Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. And in one of those tournaments, the prize was 2 quarter bottles and 2 half bottles of High Commissioner. But what would happen was, regardless of who was winning, they would then open the bottles. They were allowed to open the bottles in the bar, and they'd pour the measures. And so we would get the as the barman working the chefs, you would play the doms, and regardless if you want to lose, you would get a measure, and then I'd put Coke in it. And some of the guys would come up and say, "Okay, put some Coke in that, or some soda, or lemonade, or some ice, or whatever." It's a wee favour for them, and it was such cheap, nasty whiskey, but it got me used to the taste of that mixed drink. So it was always it's funny that, but peated I never really clicked with the peated until, I'm trying to think, probably Lagavulin. I think Lagavulin does it for a lot of people because there was just enough sweetness in it. And I'd organised a trip, and we all went to Bratislava, a group of people from work, just for a night out, as you do. And when I came back, the guys clubbed together and got me a bottle of Lagavulin 8, which I actually still have. Years old. I finally cracked it open last year, but I remember having it and thinking, oh no, I like my PT stuff, so I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, that was a whole tangent down memory lane. I've been doing that a lot on the March Dram madness. It's mad how like just the memories unlocked through taste and smell, and so my brain goes places like that, so you just need to deal with it. Campbelltown, definitely Springbank 10, yes. Why not? Let's just pretend it's readily available. It is there, and weirdly, like the local barley, a lot of it's sitting on the shelf in Campbelltown. I think it's mostly gone now, but it wasn't as hard to get as what people were saying. Frank's saying, for newbies, I would go with a bourbon matured Highland, Glencadam 10, a Sherry Speyside Aberlour 12, and Isla peated, of course. Colholman Macker Bay, kind of the whole palette. Yeah, brilliant. Again, you walk into somebody's house and they've got that, you're happy. You're really happy. I think it's just the budget, it's just price and budget and expectations, and setting people's expectations well. Rob agrees, yep. Great selection. Mark's got the double cask in his glass from Glen Scotia. It is a fantastic dram. Good chance. There was someone from my family worked in that bar consecutively. I was the first, and then both my brothers worked in the bar as well. And it's still the local when I go back home. That's a local, even though it's nowhere near where I'm from. Go in there. It's a bit like Cheers. You go in, there's always somebody that knows your name, or has a very fond name for you, along the lines of dickhead or something far worse. And then Frank saying, no, not even in Glasgow, talking about having a whiskey for breakfast. No, it's first thing, strong coffee, and it's full Scottish breakfast. Yeah, exactly. You've got to do it. Tickets go on sale in, I think I said in an Instagram post today, 6 weeks for Glasgow. I'll definitely be trying to lay down my time, book my time in to go to that. I was tempted. We were looking at actually, we nearly were going back up to Glasgow next weekend to see my family. But there's been a clash of accommodation and people and stuff, so we can't do it. But then I noticed that there was also the National Whisky Show that was cancelled in January because of the storm. That's happening next weekend in Glasgow. That's what I was meaning at the start. There's so many shows at the moment happening, and that lineup looked really good fun. But it's at the SECC, the massive exhibition centre in Glasgow. So I'm quite intrigued to see how that plays out because it's not normally there. I was 19 so long ago, mate. So was I. I turned 41 yesterday, so digging deep into the memory banks, I'm like, was I 90? Was I 20? 22 years ago. Mad. Absolutely mad. Hairline was a lot more here as well. Like, no, sorry, here. This had hair. M&S was full of double cast when it first came out. Still an excellent pour. There's also, I've noticed Waitrose do a weird Glen Scotia. Is it the Glen Scotia 10 or 8-year-old? Or Campbelltown Harbour or something it's called. It's something weird. Something that you can't get anywhere else. All the best, Hamish. Good luck with the game tomorrow and the tasting. I'm sure you do amazing. Especially with the drams that you're pouring them. They're in for a treat. I really hope they appreciate them. And if not, just give them a big story about it and say, oh, you know that guy that flings the whiskey at the glass and threatens to kill people if they do this? He made this whiskey. Rob Smith, mentally is great if you can remember. I know it is. It's worse when you don't remember and then it suddenly pops in your head and you're like, oh my god, remember that? Lots of shout outs for Hamish. He's got his tasting, and anybody that's joining a bit late and missed the chat, Hamish is doing a tasting tomorrow at the football and the hospitality for Ross County versus Dundee United. And he's doing the tasting theme is all the whiskies come from above Inverness. So fantastic. What a treat they've got. They've got a Tininic, they've got, I'm trying to remember this now, Tininic, they've got an uncoloured Dalmore. They've got the Decadent Drams Tininic. They've got, this is a good test for my brain. I can't remember the rest. Maybe someone will put it in the chat. And then Rob is saying, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I'm not sure if it's heavily peated or not, but it's just quite a strange one for the supermarket to have and nowhere else has it. Evening, Billy. Hope you're keeping well. Do let us know if you're having a dram, what you've got in your glass. I am going to pour. So I've finished that Paul Noir release, and I'm going to go to this Coquerin, which you'll see. I opened it last week, and it's not been touched since. It's not even left where it was poured, but it's been opened. And when I had this previously, I found it got better and better in the glass. And that's when I had it in the whiskey exchange. So I've got big hopes. You know, half you guys as well have said this is fantastic. It smells fantastic. It's just great on the nose. Frank, I completely missed your comment earlier. I saw that you said you'd poured yourself a Thompson. I'm going to go back up and see if I can find it. Where is it? You poured yourself a Thompson Brothers. I was going to ask you a question, but I went on a memory lane chat. Glentalkers, yeah, the 18-year-old Glentalkers. How was that? Pleasant dram. Glentalkers is one of those distilleries, isn't it? There's quite a few like that. That just always a solid output, always a delight to have. But you don't want to talk about it too much because then other people might start buying it and you might not get it as easy as you want. And then I'm just going to pull the notes back up. Blend. So the newbie blend, easily available. I just went black label, and that was based off of the For Me or No For Me video. I forgot how good a black label is. Like, it's not great by any means, but it's not bad. And it's fine. And like, it's easily available. You can get it anywhere in the world. So it's dependable. You know what you're going to get. You can have a few. You can have it with soda. You can have it with lemonade. Hamish has jumped in. Thank you, mate, before your bedtime. Look at that lineup. What a treat. Before the football. Not being a football snob, but Ross County Dundee United as well. At least they'll enjoy themselves before the game. I missed the drama tonight in Scottish football. I was watching the game and it went 3-1 Dundee. I thought, right, I need to get upstairs and sort the wee one for bath time and bedtime. And then did all that and then came down. It was 4-3. God almighty. Off. Taking it easy. Nice and smooth off the bat. Glenfarclas Family Cask 2008 in the glass for the moment. Just Glenfarclas is one of those distilleries for me that when it's good, it's great. It's fantastic. And then see if it's no good, it's not good. That's the politest way of me putting it. It's just underwhelming. Hopefully that one's a belter for you, Billy. Be PT, that's him talking about the SMWS, the Nantu sample. How is it? Yeah, I've never had it either. I had to look it up to understand what it was. Yeah, Glentalker's gone down the hatch. I say, great dram fresh, not too sweet. I love a Glentalker's. It's in there in the mix. We meet like Ben Rinnes. I'm right into Ben Rinnes. I keep avoiding the Ben Rinnes because I feel like I love it too much. And the Cuboken as well. Love that. Barely see me drinking them. That's what happens. I end up avoiding the ones I really, really like because I don't want to drink them because I don't want them to go. Derek's a big fan of the Nantu. I have an SN. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right. Nantu. I have an SMWS bottle as well as a core range. And then Struggle with Red. I find Black Label Double Cask is drinkable. Yeah, I did the video on that as well, and I think I was a wee bit strict in my opinion on the double cask. I think it was the double black cask. Yeah, I compared it and it was stupid because my brain was still pricing stuff in that moment. I don't know why, as if it was 5 years ago. And I was like, if you're getting the double cask, if you're going for something a bit more premium than Black Label, I was like, just go for a normal bottle of Kalila. And then I looked up the price of normal Kalila and it's went up by like 15, 20 quid since I last bought a bottle of it. And I was like, oh, can I pick this up for 35 quid anymore? But it's good. It's in that same wheelhouse, and that's why it wasn't there for me, because I was like, I'd rather have a Kalila. Craig, some of your favourite PT diff from Lock Lomond SMWS. They went, before SMWS pricing went a bit rogue, I got 2 bottles, 17 18-year-old Loch Lomond, maybe even 19-year-old. Is it there? It's over there. And they were sister casks, like literally one after the other. And one was called Fruit Alloy. Can't remember the name of the other one. And they were like 75 quid. And I'm talking 2022? Maybe 21, 22? And 75 quid. And now you don't even get, if they go over that age, whatever age they were, if anything's that age now, they do the black label, premiumize pricing. Right, so we've said blend, I've hit it with the black label. I've said Buna for Isla. Lowland. And I need to triple check this. I'm going to, again, excuse me while I Google this. I need to just check what region this distillery falls under. I should know the answer. But I just want to make sure that I'm no off because of fault lines and stuff. Yeah, it is Lowland. Good. Good. Just in case. Glengoyne makes me paranoid. And it's not Glengoyne. I would say for Lowland, again, this is for a newbie. This is for a beginner. You're trying to get them into stuff. You want to open their palate. The Isla I've suggested is non-peated. So for the Lowland, I've went peated. Of course I have it. And I've went for Glasgow 1770. The peated cask strength. But I also suggest the unpeated, which I tried in Croydon again. That spirit out of Glasgow is just so good. And it's just taking time, as it should. But I also think it just took them time to get up and running and find a position and a place and a way of doing things that produce better whiskey. I've got a bottle of Glasgow 1770 behind me that's not the Vin No Nonsense whiskey one, but it's pretty crap. And it's a 500ml one. And I say pretty crap. It's not as good as what they make now. And I think they know that as well. But I think you can get Glasgow stuff quite easily. And I know Dramface did a couple of articles last year that really pushed Glasgow into the next level, I think. Because I noticed a lot of bottles that they recommended started selling out everywhere. So that would be my Lowland suggestion. Yeah, brilliant. As long as you like them, mate, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter about anybody else anyway. For the Nan 2, bourbon matured. Of course, it's young, little sharp in the front of the mouth, but pleasant and sweet. It's peated, but not heavily in finishes. Always good to have something different. Always good. I've just, for lack of a better word, just necked that Kilkerran. So pleasant. I think that's why. I think I just, but my brain, I think, was a wee bit thinking about blends and stuff as well, so I'm a wee bit shocked. I will say, so that's the bourbon, the 8-year-old bourbon cask strength. It's a delight in the glass. Brilliant to go back and smell. I've just seen, yep. Craig saying, enjoyed 1770 the pot still. Great variety at spot on prices. Yeah, it's got so much better. And some of the special casks they're doing. The No Nonsense one is PX finished. And it's only 5 years old. But it's all barbecue pork. It's like honey ribs. Like it's that sweetness and the peat and everything. It's great. But the peated cask strength batch 2, it's just fantastic. Just a fantastic dram. That's something that I know Frank hates his sweet peat, but you would love if you've not had it. I know they were at Glasgow, so you might have had it at Glasgow. But just a fantastic dram. But then their other stuff, the kind of original, the red label one. I had at Croydon, and that's kind of like, you know, golden syrup-esque. Like, there's just a yellowness to it, like a yellow barley-ness. It's in that wheelhouse. It feels golden, for lack of a better word, but delicious, absolutely delicious. What I did enjoy in the pot still, Craig, I actually had a decent dram of Clydeside, and I think Clydeside's going to be one of these ones. I might be completely wrong. The cask strength stuff, the single barrel stuff, is good, but it's getting better. Similar to Glasgow, it's maturing. The process is getting better. They're understanding their equipment, they're understanding their machinery and their nuance and their spirit. And we went on a tasting there, and were pleasantly surprised by the new make and by some of the special, like, single cast opportunities we had there. So they're one that kind of gets written off, because I think that first release wasn't great at all. I've still got the bottle of it down there, but after that, and the pot still's good for that. You can go in there and you can get, there's Lowlander, back me up, it's a lot better. And I tried it again at the it's disappeared on one screen, but it's still there on my screen, so apologies, Lowlander. I'll remove that now. And then we're looking at Coco Sand Dunes SMWS 1861. 18. Craig, you'll be quicker to tell me, but I'm going to Google it. I'm going to pull up the SMWS whiskey codes. Let's see what we got. Inchgower, yeah, perfect. You were saying you were on Loch Lomond's. Fantastic. Oh, why have I went really small? What's happened there? This happened last week as well. I really need to sit and sort out this stream setup. I just not had the time, but come April, when I'm not doing a video a day, I should have plenty of time to be able to fix it. So I appreciate you bearing with me on all this. Right, next up, we had those, and then Speyside, I went Glenallachie, and I just wrote Glenallachie, any Glenallachie, because I think you can now pick up a hell of a lot of Glenallachie releases, and a lot of them go on sale fairly quick. King of Sherry, Billy Walker. There's a million I could have picked for Speyside. There's so many I could have picked for Speyside, but I just thought you should be able to pick up a Glenallachie. Now, if I was going supermarket wise and Speyside, then obviously Glenfiddich's there, Balveni's there, right off the back. And Glenfiddich 12, I do like with ginger beer. When we're talking about cocktails, it goes really well. It tastes quite tropical with the ginger beer. Got a wee bit of lime in it as well. It's delicious. So if you're ever at a loose end, and you've got a bottle of it and you're like, I just need to get rid of it, ginger beer is the way to go. Again, I'm trying to think through it. I'm saying newbie, new whiskey collection. I've went Bunnahabhain, I've went Glasgow, I've went Black Label for the blend. I'm saying Glenallachie for their Speyside, Springbank 10 for their Campbelltown, and then for their Highland, again I'm going to have to check this, I'm sure it's Highland, it better be Highland. Sorry, Inchgower. Inchgower's not Loch Lomond. I'm getting mixed up. Inchgower's Speyside, isn't it? But for... It's been a long weekend, guys, so I do apologise. Yes. For the Highland, I just wrote Loch Lomond. Because I thought, there's so much Loch Lomond whiskey out there. If I went in someone's house and they just had any Loch Lomond there, most Loch Lomond's, unless it was an older bottling, I'd be happy with that. And by older bottling, I mean the old branding, when they were just churning out any old crap. Rob saying Glenallachie is becoming more available in my area. Yeah, I think you're starting to see more and more of it, but I've seen it in sale. A lot of whiskey websites have Glenallachie in sale because they went through this period of just releasing a ton of cask finishes and barrel finishes and this and that. Jeffrey, just settling in. I was golfing and driving home. Dramming Deanston 12 this afternoon. Mighty fine. What a lovely day you've had, mate. What an absolute lovely day on the golf and on the Drams. Frank's keeping me right here. Yep, that's it. That's why I got mixed up. Inch 5, inch 1, inch Murren. Just when I had a wee look. Any pubs that serve a pint of 80 shilling, I'll be honest, I don't look out for it. I don't look for it. There was probably a couple that would have, but they're long gone now. You used to have the Flying Scotsman, which was a terrible, terrible pub at King's Cross. And it became like a strip club of sorts. And now that's became the Scottish Stores. You used to have like a hipstery type of pub that's like £8 a pint. There's not many Scottish pubs in London, I would say. Even the old Irish ones are dying out. Everything's just getting really developed. I don't even know many Scottish pubs that do. Like, well, I don't even think the state does 80 shilling anymore. You used to have 80 shilling and 60, 70 shilling. What was it? 80 shilling and something else. I still remember that the taps in the state bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 was always Duker's IPA. That was always that, but that's all changed as well now. As it should, because it's been over 20 years. Highland Park 12, sentimental. Yeah, of course, of course. I did think about doing a separate category of islands. Because that's like an unofficial region, isn't it? The islands. But then it gets too messy. Because then, like, Highland Park would become an island. That's Highland Park, like, and then because Ben Romack is technically Highland, but also Speyside. Cross the nails, a lot of women as well, but it doesn't start with inch. Yeah, I know. They like to keep everybody on their toes. One of the islands that you mentioned, Frank, maybe it's Inchmurren, is up for sale currently. You can buy Inchmurren Island on Loch Lomond. I don't think you can do anything with it, but you can buy it. You imagine that? You're just like, yeah, I'm just popping over to Loch Lomond to see my island. Would you be able to, could you put power? I don't think you'd be allowed, but I saw a video that, was it Loch Lomond it was at? Where there's wild wallabies in Scotland. So I wonder if it's on, I feel like it was a Loch Lomond island. There's wild wallabies. And no, I wasn't drinking. I was not drinking when I saw this. And I was like, is this a hoax? What have I got here? I've got that one. I'm going to have one more dram. I'm just trying to think what to have. Did I go for one of the ones that I've mentioned? Any recommendations, guys? What do you reckon? This is a problem. It's choice anxiety. Too much choice. give me a second. There we go. Not bad. What's that? An hour 45 into the stream before I had to move and get another bottle. Peated for Petehead. I should have went peated. I should have, but I went more based on what you've already said, Craig. For the Campbelltown, I just went for a Springbank 10. And this is the February 23 batch. I just fancy something just a little bit normal. Because these wine casks and then that Kilkerran bourbon cask, and I thought, oh, the Springer 10. This has been the most... I'm enjoying this part when it's like the chat, but before that, Pete said could do off-grid power setup. Yeah, I was thinking that, but when you see the island, I don't think you can even build on it, to be honest. I think I'm looking for more a custodian to own it. A TV presenter bought Wallaby Island recently. Oh, so many choices. I know, but I wish I had... There's times I wish I had less, then I could just get through them. And I know a few of you guys have that same problem. It sounds like a humble brag, but it's not. It's just like, there's so much all the time, and then people go, open this and open that, and you're like, I need to just get through what I've got. Craig, I'll have a Lafroig. I don't know if I've got any Lafroig. I don't think I've got any. I'll need to see. And then Petehead, the bane of his life. Empty that stag, then you'll have space again for some proper scotch. Look, I've got my don't you worry, I've got the separate cupboard that I don't cross-contaminate them, Frank. They're in separate places. But the stag going out, I know, was a shock to some people. I think they expected the stag to go all the way. Brilliant nose. I kind of forgot that I'd poured the Springbank in because I was dealing with this. Just to have that, it's just lovely. This is you looking for justification here, Lowlander. I know exactly this tactic. I do this tactic as well. Cam 18 is available at the Spirit Embassy, £97, 10% off your first purchase. If you subscribe to their email list, potentially 12.1. Cashback with top cashback as well. Must resist. I'm saying nothing. And of course, Petehead, of course I know it's banter. Wouldn't have it any other way. Love the Springbank 10 even more than the 15 and 18, Billy. Yeah, I think that I spoke about this on the Dram Madness about the batch variation in 15, and I've mentioned it before. It's wild how much it swings. The 10 seems to be a bit more stable. When you have a good 15, and I think that I was lucky with the one I've got. It's lovely. It's not sulphury. It's bad. And I've got an 18 sitting back there that I'm scared to open, to be honest. For the only reason is I'm worried about the batch variation in it. 10's great. My favourite, I would say my favourite Springbank of recent times, it's close, it's almost a tie, is the local barley. So I've got the local barley of last year. That was fantastic. And the first cast strength release of last year. Not the shit, that was a more bourbon makeup one. Brilliant. The sherry one is good. And if that first release hadn't came out, then that would have been amazing. But it spoiled us. It absolutely spoiled us. I thought that was just brilliant. But the 10, when the 10's good, the 10's great. How about Glengarry Virgin Oak for the March Madness? Are you talking about the Founder's Reserve, Jeffrey? I'll need to look up. I don't know if I know about that one. Glengarry Virgin Oak. I had there was two Glengarrys in it. So I gave it I bloody love Glengarry. But let me see, what one's this? Ah, there is a Virgin Oak. Drams did it. Out of stock. Let me see. Ugh. Age gates. Enter. That's quite an old one. Well, Hedonism have it, but it's not readily available, the Virgin Oak. I don't have any Lefroy. I need to remedy that. This is why I end up with so many bottles, because I play out a scenario in my head, Rob, that you've just made true, which is, what if somebody asked me for something, if they come over and I don't have it? That would be mortifying. It wouldn't be, but do you know what I mean? And when people point certain things out and I don't have them, then I think that's the one I've got, Mike. I think it is that. I think it's that one. I had it at the Whisky Fringe, but the problem was when I had it. So Friday session, I'd went to Cadenheads beforehand, and been given some banging drams, like off the bat. Hadn't had breakfast properly, and then went for a pint or two with Marcos from North Star, and then went straight in. Had a I could say it before. Tokaji. If Mac's still on, then he could correct me here, but whatever that cast type is of lag. And then I had the Springbank 18. And my palate was just like, I'm not really feeling much here. I don't know if it was bottle shock of the whiskey or what was going on, but then I got one. And I don't know, I'm sure it must be the 18 for that. The guys are talking about the 2 digits, talking about when you're buying a bottle, going over £100 or €100. For myself, 2 exceptions every year. Yeah, I've been. Oh, that's why that happened. I now know why that. Yeah, it's my fingers on this trackpad. Yeah, I'm definitely being more conscientious with what I'm buying. I'm being more conservative with what I'm buying because I just get too much. And I did shell out a lot on a bottle. I got a BTAC bottle of Thomas Handy, but it's going to be split at cost and stuff with people, so I was like, okay, I don't mind doing that. But kind of cleared myself out a wee bit with a few bottles, and then I've been holding off for the Chichibu on the way, which was the best Chichibu Japanese whiskey I've ever tried. I loved it, and that was at the whiskey show, and I think that's on its way soon. And try to hold back for that. Founder's Reserve was different but also delightful. Yeah, I've had a wee look there, that Virgin Oak. So it seems to be in and out of stock in quite a few places, but there was one that came out in November last year. But the ones I had was the Glengarry 12 and the Adelphi Glengarry that came out for the Adventurers Club. Both great drams. Glengarry 12 did really well in Dram Madness. It's just a quality dram. If you don't have a bottle of Glengarry 12 and you like Springbank, go and get a bottle of Glengarry 12. It's not the same. But they're like brothers from different mothers. There's something there. A bit like how Ben Romack is in that wheelhouse as well. Yeah, exactly. If you can pick up a bottle, as long as you've got enough people and you know people that can do it. The only reason it's not happened yet is that I need to get the sample bottle sorted. So I'd messaged some of the guys in my group and was like, if I get this, people will be interested, because I got it at like pretty much retail. So I paid Thomas Andy, I think I paid 195, a wee bit more than retail, but the cheapest I've seen it is like 330, 340. So I was like, okay, I'll take the hit, but I can use it. I'm going to do it for a for me or no for me video as well. So I get to open it, pour a wee bit, drink it, and then I've got my split for the rest, and it's done. Peterhead agrees. When it samples that have crossed the North Sea heading to Peterhead HQ is beyond normal. But it's the best way. For me though, it's more about the I've just seen Craig sending me DMs, my big face on his TV. God help yous all having to look at this. Zordon from the Power Rangers. With splits, I found quickly that when I do a split, I'd like to split it at 50ml, and that's personal preference, because I don't feel I get enough at a 25ml measure. That's just me, and everybody's different. But 50ml, I feel I can pour myself a measure, I can sit and enjoy it, and then I can pour a wee bit more, if that makes it. Like I can really get into it. So normally when I do a split, I look for like at least as a minimum 30ml, but ideally 50ml. And it means there's fewer people involved in the split, less having to do the admin for it all, but also it's just, there's just more in you can really dive into it. Don't know if that's the case for the majority here, but that's how I feel about it. Billy's saying, been in the queue for Springbank several times, but last time there was a max of 1 bottle from Springbank per person. Could have bought the 12, but when there's a 21 left in the shelf. It's tough getting put in those positions though, isn't it? I'm pretty sure, I think I might have had an opportunity last month for a 30-year-old, and I just couldn't justify it. I could not justify the money. And I've seen that they've brought out the what's the collection called? Whatever. This Springbank collection that they're doing, and it's a ridiculous price, and it was a ballot. And then I saw on the Facebook page for It's All About Springbank, somebody saying, oh, should I take it or not? And people being like, what, like, you've already entered the ballot, what do you mean should I take it or not? I think the fact that most of the things I saw about that ballot was everybody won. So it's definitely an interesting one, but I'm glad I pulled that Springbank. It's just, it's lovely. Let me check my notes, see if there's anything else to cover. I think we're pretty much there or thereabouts. Thanks, by the way, last week he's given me suggestions. I need to send an email to Dave over at Glens Creek Whisky for his whiskey trip, so I'm going to get that done. I've got a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine. I was planning on trying to go to the Kentucky the Bourbon Festival in September. I'd reached out to them, we were chatting about stuff, and I had flight voucher and I had all this kind of stuff on my own back, and I thought it'd be good fun to go and do. Based on the current climate over there, and with tariffs and with the general everything that's going on, and my mate lives there, he lives in the States, I've decided I'm not going to go there. It's just there's too many variables at the moment that are just it's not stable enough for me to know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. The last thing I would want is being huckled by immigration at the border, like coming into the States. I've had that happen once before. It was a nightmare, and it happened just because there was nothing. So unfortunately I'm not going to go there, but he's going to come over here And so I've proposed to him that we drive from London up north. So we're going to be planning a bit of a road trip in August. So I should be up north in Scotland. It's just, we're going to go, I think we're going to maybe go via Blackpool. There's a fantastic bourbon bar in Blackpool. Fantastic bourbon bar. Like, has no right of being so good. So I think we might just stop off there for a night. It's in a B&B. We might just stay the night there and then make our way up. And I think we're looking at Campbelltown and places like that, which will be just amazing. But I'm just putting that out there just now because I'm going to be asking for recommendations. And I think one of the streams I want to do is like your ultimate road trip. If you're going to Scotland, how would you do it? €30 just too expensive. Yeah, it's not drinking. No one's drinking it at that price, even at a split. Like, what are you paying? It just doesn't make any sense. Pete is due to go to the US for my wife's 30th at the end of the year, but looking at going to Asia now. Yeah, I think everybody just knows that it's a little bit temperamental. Lowlander immigration staff, immigration staff at US border, the faces on them, and you're just like, oh my god. My situation was years and years ago. I was going over there to work, summer camp, and I never had this slip of paper in my passport that everybody else apparently had, but no one told me to put my passport. And I got put in like this room for 4 hours. Thank God I was young and didn't really know what was going on. And after 4 hours I got released, but then I had visits from immigration like twice while I was at work. Weird as hell. So I can only imagine what it'd be like now. Awful. Craig, we're the same. Can we last 4 years Vegas free? I know, and it's such a, it really, like, I've got this amazing flight voucher to use. Like, it gets me an upgrade to business class and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, I really want to go. And my mate's like, can I just come to you? I want to escape. Dire times. Here you go. Come to Scotland instead and have a tour of the distilleries. Yeah, Rob, I don't envy you. And it doesn't matter. We're not even talking the politics of it. It's just the reality of the situation. It seems the Canada thing, and like, nobody's even talking about Mexico anymore. They're talking about Canada all the time. Greenland. I know. It's just don't know what's going on. So Pete saying that's where I'm coming from. Don't need to go to Scotland. Jeffrey thinks he's got the last bottle of Douglas Lang's Goldrins on the East Coast here in the US. They must do a good roaring business getting the stuff over there, but I'm really intrigued to see. So they're saying the next wave of tariffs are going to come in first week of April. So that's what this week coming. Yeah, maybe snap up everything you can at the moment. And then go to Japan and visit. So that's what he's saying. My mate Jack literally said in the text yesterday, he's like, I said, how about you come here, we do a road trip like that, and he goes, or Japan. And I was just like, I don't think I'm going to get the pass. I don't think I can pull that off. Even though it's like the halfway point, he's in LA, so it's kind of halfway, isn't it? The midpoint between the two of us. But I would love, it's on my bucket list, but I think if I go to Japan, it'll be with my wife. She's been dying to go for years. Her brother went for the Rugby World Cup a couple of years ago, and then him and his partner, they both went back just at the tail end of last year and had the best trip. Like the food and all that. And then obviously you've got Matt, Campai Planet. He's out there. Watch his stuff and see some of the stuff that's just like from a whiskey point of view. I would love to go to the Chichibu Matsuri, the Chichibu like whiskey festival. Just looks really different, really fun. and we've seen quite a few from a whiskey standpoint. People from like Thompson Brothers and that going out there and doing exchanges, and I've seen some other bartenders and that go out there and do stuff. There's a really vibrant drink scene and whiskey scene. I'd love to go and video all that and make some videos about it. It's just, I've got a day job as well and a family, so it's sadly not that. But I think Pete, you should also definitely, depending on timings when you're looking to go, Korea. I used to live in Korea. Korea's brilliant, South Korea. And you can go Seoul, get the fast train to Busan. I don't know if you've seen that film, Train to Busan, with the zombies. But you go to Busan, it's a beach city. Best of both worlds. And it used to be, I don't know what it'll be like now. I think it's still. When I lived there, it was like 4 to 1, the difference between Korean won and Japanese yen, so it was so much cheaper. I don't know if that's the case still, but Lowlander's only been to Tokyo, but I was blown away by the place. Yeah, I've only been to the airport, flying back from Seoul, so I went Seoul to Narita, and then Narita over to LA. Long time ago. That was 20. What year was that? 2011. God. Plan was to fly out Thanksgiving, so end of November, December. Well, yeah, it's going into winter. I would say like you're two very different climates if you're looking at Singapore and Japan at that time of year, because Japan, and I know from Korea, they're right next to each other. They get winter. They get they're very proud of their 4 seasons. Summer's just hot and humid. Winter's like minus, well, it was when I was like minus 20. It's brutal. And then spring and autumn, you're just like, oh, you can relax. Right, one more pour. I'm going to go for something. Just based on the chat we're having, I figured that should appease most of these, shouldn't it? Frank should be happy. And also getting a Japanese. So the Yoichi single malt, the peated. It's a fantastic dram. I think I got this at auction. 40 quid at auction. Absolute dream. Yeah, lovely. Jeffrey saying, I'd love to see any and all of Asia. It's the other side of the globe. Lol. Yeah, you just book it and go. And I think if we're going back to the whole theme of tonight, I'm talking about newbies and what they can come into. Japanese whiskey. I remember having an experience in the whiskey exchange at Covent Garden when I was first getting into whiskey. And out of nowhere, I went in the Covent Garden store. It was round the corner from my office. Went downstairs. I can't remember what I was picking up. I think I was picking up like Douglas Lang, like Timorous Beastie or Scallywag or something like that. And I came upstairs and there was somebody asking for advice, and it kind of became like not an open discussion, but there was customers in the queue upstairs, got chatting and blah blah blah, and oh no, you should get, and there was this guy who was like really passionate, you should get any Japanese whiskey. He was English. He was like, you should get any Japanese whiskey, it's the best, man, it's just wow, it's fantastic, blah blah blah. And it was Alfie Allen from Game of Thrones, Reek, Theon. Yeah, so Theon Greyjoy loves his Japanese whiskey, but then I think the problem with Japanese whiskey is the demand outstripped the supply over here, and the prices went up, and value-wise now it's quite tough. And it's funny because the yen, obviously, in the Japanese economies went down. The malt prices have stayed at that level. You're kind of looking at it, you're going, hang on, are we getting ripped off a wee bit here? And P-Head, don't worry, I'm happy. Love it when you and other people drink burp on. We need the cast for scotch. We're just non-discriminate, you know? Just get through everything. Ireland for this year with a few Glasgow's thrown in. Craig, where in Ireland are you going? Where are you going to go? I've been looking at doing a wee trip. Again, it's on the list of Drams on the Run that I need to try and organise, but there's a secret, but it's no secret, but it's kept well hidden. Same day travel to Dublin by train and boat, like 60 quid. You can book it in advance and it's a wee bit cheaper, but I want to make a video of it because I just think what an adventure, getting the train to Holyhead in Wales, and then you get the ferry over, and then the bus from the port into Dublin, and then have a pint, and just fly home. But with some whiskey involved. I think that'd be quite a fun trip. Billy's just poured the bottle kill of a Kilkerran 12, the November 23, being a great bottle. Luckily I have a new one on the shelf. Is that the latest new one or similar batch? Kilkerran 12 is just stellar as well. Kilkerran stellar. Like it's just one of those ones, isn't it? Jeffrey, I enjoy my couple hour flights here. Just got back from Orlando, Florida 1 week, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina the other. Come on over and golf with me. There you go, guys. Open invite. I'm trying to remember the name. And I can remember, that's it. Jeffrey, by any chance, do you happen to be secretly Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down? When I hear Myrtle Beach, that's all I think of is Kenny Powers on a jet ski. If anybody, we were talking about comedy earlier on, if you've not seen Eastbound and Down, try and find it to download. It's mental. It's really funny. It's really good. Billy's Kilkerran, it's 24. Don't remember the date. It doesn't matter, mate. Does not matter. I'm adoring, so won't be advertising where we are, but probably near Galway-ish. I've never been to Galway. I've heard nothing but amazing things. I still need to get back to Dingo, down in Kerry. Actually visit the distillery after the miss storm. At Uichi, just stellar, 45%. Drink's delicious. The whole story behind it with Takasuru and stuff is just brilliant. Just brilliant. And if any of you, I'm sure you have, but Mac Campai Planet, his channel, some of the videos he's got in there are absolutely fantastic. And when there's one where he goes to this museum, and for everybody, all you lot in the chat and stuff will love it. He goes to this museum, and it's a whiskey museum in Japan, and the guy just loves whiskey since he was a kid. Just loved the branding and everything, so he collects all this stuff, and then he also has a bar, and he just has the most ridiculous old whiskies on this bar. You have to watch it, and if it doesn't make you itch to go, then I don't know what's going on with you. But fantastic, just brilliant. Jeffrey, I remember the sounds Eastbound and Down. Yes, great song, great from the movie Smokey and the Bandit as well. But I think that's where it comes from. But you should look it up. It was HBO, I think, comedy. Kenny Powers, he's like a washed up baseball pitcher, and it's got Will Ferrell and all that in it as well. Brilliant. Oyster Festival in Galway, and Craig is not impressed, Lowlander, at all. And Frank, you've never been to Ireland? You're close enough. Next time you come over here, surely it's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's Dublin. Dublin's tough these days, and that's not even like talking about politics or that. It's just expensive. It's so expensive, Dublin. But it's not a big city. It's very similar in size to like Glasgow. I would say maybe a wee bit more spread out, a little bit more spread out, maybe. But Ireland's brilliant. Northern Ireland and Ireland, like just the whole isle. I keep meaning again. Another one's Belfast. Need to hit up Belfast. I've not been there for a while. Smokey and the Bandit, yes. I absolutely love that film. It's actually on my Instagram. It is on my Instagram from a post talking 5 years ago. Let's see. Let me pull this up. All the way back. Way back. I've got them in the background. It's for a certain whiskey. What was it? I'm trying to remember before I pull it up. Is it there? No, it's not there. Oh, there it is. Eagle Rare. That was when? November 2020. The Bandit. Pure Sally Field. Pure Sally Field. Frank Love Campai Planet channel, highly recommended. Jen, if you watched his latest video about the Kanasuke, it's Kanasuka, the trilogy, the 3 bottles, the Ghost series. What an experience, man. What an absolute experience. I agree, Lowlander. I'm with you on that. Never used to be into oysters, and then I watched the Chef Show on Netflix with John Favreau, and there's an episode where they go to an oyster farm, and the guy just eats like constant oysters. And I was like, I need to try them. And in London, you can go to Borough Market, which is near where I work, and you get 5 for £5, and you have them at lunchtime. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Solid choice, Rob. Solid choice. Peated independent Lecheg. Same peated Lecheg. West Cumbria, most exotic thing I eat is a finger. I don't know what a finger is, Craig. You need to explain that a wee bit more. Petehead, when I go to Ireland, I would take my motorcycle and tour the country in Ireland. Yeah, it's built for that. It's a great country. The weather probably not built for that, but just wrap up, away you go. That's it. It's pronounced Kanoska or something like that. It is. Yeah, he says it in the video all the time. I'm just terrible at remembering stuff like that for some reason. But yeah, that whole series, the Ghost Whiskies, brilliant. So well done. Right. Fish. You meant fish. The finger, it's fish. Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up, because I was getting a wee bit confused there, Craig. For good reason. And Billy, never been to the UK except for 2 times. Newcastle on a mini cruise from Norway. Billy, sorry, Billy Bennett just seems like such an almost Scottish name. Are you from Norway? And also, if that's... No, I'm thinking the Newcastle to Amsterdam ferry, which is just like an absolute Benidorm on the high seas. An absolute party ferry. It's a nightmare. Well, guys, we're getting close to wrapping it up. I've extended that a wee bit this evening. Normally I finish at midnight, as you guys know. Extended it a wee bit this evening just due to the technical difficulties at the start. So we're going to go till past, another 10 minutes. I think from the theme of tonight about the newbies, I think a lot of really good stuff. I'm glad to know that I'm on the right wavelength about the 200ml bottles. I think it's something that more distilleries should look into. I think for newbies, cocktails, none of us discriminate against it. Do you know what I mean? Like, get into them, enjoy it, do what you've got to do. It serves its purpose, and if it gets more and more people into it, they've got to do it. Selection wise, I think we're all in good stead for who we recommend and what we recommend and why we recommend it. So I think there's more of that, but I'd be intrigued to know, and you can leave it in the comments or we can do it in another live stream or whatever, but what else should we be doing to get more people drinking whiskey? I think that's the question for the age. Or are we quite happy? Because there's also an element, I'm like, your palate's not ready for whiskey until you're older. It's not something when you're 18 your palate's going to get. I don't think, but I could be wrong. And Billy's from the west coast of Norway. That is where a very close friend of mine lives. If I'm doing the map right, he's southwest. Pete did the Amsterdam one, really enjoyed it, including the free live UFC match that took place. Exactly, on that Newcastle one. Mental, absolutely mental. He had saying, I've seen that Newcastle Fest is getting more and more expensive, shifted to another one, half price for me and kind of the same travel time, less whiskey on board in the shop. So what one do you take then, Petehead? It'd be really good to know, Frank, like where do you come into out of, and do you take the bike? Just the one match? I think there'd be more than one fight on that ferry trip. Well, I'm talking about me talking about that ferry to Ireland. My brother had to take it because he messed up his flight ticket to Kerry when we went over there a couple of years ago. And he had to come, so I was like, you need to get that ferry. And he went, and I asked him how it was, and he went, oh, it was grim. And he got like the 2 a.m. ferry or the 3 a.m. ferry it was from Holyhead. Gets into Dublin at like 5:30, 6 in the morning. He said it was just a lot of guys with holdalls. A lot of holdalls. Guys fleeing the country or transporting things that maybe they shouldn't be transporting. Craig, from what I hear, youngins at work, rum seems to be the next big thing. Yeah, but that would match palate because it's sweet. It's the sweetness, and that's why you see the Jack Daniels, the honey one, and you're seeing quite a lot of brands trying to like experiment in that space. But I think with Scotch, you're kind of, the boundaries are so tight, aren't they? You're not really allowed to do it. Closest you can get is maybe a Drambuie or Glavar. Into Rotterdam, Hull. Yeah, fair enough, but you still have to get into Hull and then drive all the way up. Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a lovely rest of your evening as well. Right, yep, take the bike. Yep, cost me extra travel time in the Netherlands and UK, but saving around, yeah, €400. Plus, a bit more time in the bike, isn't it? Open up a wee bit. From Hull. Hull to what? Hull to Scotland must be what? 4 hours? 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on the road as well. That's quite a lot of money. Quite a lot of money saved. A lot of whiskey. And I'll second that, Billy. Like, definitely keep an eye on the V pub and stuff that Roy organises for when coming over. Like the Glasgow Whisky Festival. And we were talking about this last week about trying to maybe, was it last week, the week before, for London. But the Glasgow Whisky Festival, the Aqua Vitae fringe events, for lack of a better word, that is organised by the community and by himself and stuff like that, are fantastic. And even if you don't go to those, if you come over for the Glasgow Festival, I found it astonishing just how busy and how natural it was to be in the Bon and stuff. And now that we're at the end of the stream, I've just realised that I've not even mentioned it because I don't know if it's true or not. But there's been some murmurings about the future of the Bon Accord. I don't know if anybody else has heard about that. Fingers crossed it's just rumours. But it would have a huge... I say it would have a huge bearing on things. I don't think it would. I think wherever it ends up would become a place, but I'm being tentative talking about it because I don't know if it's true or not. And I don't want to be putting stuff like that out there. But fingers crossed it's not. But if it is, then we'll find a way. And lastly, Hull to Glasgow normally 4.5 hours, but due to traffic roadwork, yeah, took you almost 7 hours. It's a long old drive, especially on a bike as well. But fair play to you, mate. Fair play. Rob, if I ever make it over to Scotland, I may never leave. Look, it's great, but it's not that great. I left. You'll find a lot of us all over the world for a reason. No, it's fantastic. It is great. It's a really good place. I'm seeing more and more Americans on my, like, when I have a TikTok and stuff, but I never post on it. But just browsing through who are visiting and coming over and trying to move and do stuff. But yeah, you'd have a great time. It's a bit like me with Kentucky, going to Kentucky and just loved it. Absolutely loved it. Lowlander, I was at Aqua Vitae tasting event on Sunday after the Independent Spirit Festival, and it was fantastic to meet so many folk from the V-Pub chat. Yeah, that was another thing when I saw the Independent Spirit, and then I knew he was doing the thing on the Sunday, and I was like, oh, I'd love to go, and it's just time, and you just gotta get the timings right, but that's what's so good about the community, and I think that's what's so good about this, and V-Pub, and Jeff Whisky, and Vins, and everybody in the whiskey space has communities, but there's so much overlap, and there's so many people, and I think that's why I had such a great time at Glasgow. And the reason I ended up, the video that I put out wasn't the video I'd originally planned, but I had too much of a good time with the people and not enough footage that the way I wanted it to be. That I think if I go to Glasgow this year, it's going to be quite different. I'm going to have a longer lead up time. I might go up a couple of days before and try and capture it in a different way to showcase just how great the communities are. Peter just saying, in Scotland many times, try to find a legal way to stay there. Jeffrey, right with you, Rob Smith. I absolutely adore the Highland cows. Long-haired like myself. And I think on that note, guys, what better way to end the stream? But as always on a Saturday evening, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for spending time, having some drams with us. Chat as always was fantastic. Not much else to say. It is now, in the UK, it's now Mother's Day, so I need to go and sort a few bits out for the morning. And in half an hour, it becomes 2 a.m, so I'm going to lose an hour's sleep as well. Yay. Not only did I get older this weekend, but I'm getting even older by the time disappearing. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. We have 2 more days of March Dram Madness left. We have tomorrow, second semi-final, to see who will join. I'm not even going to say because I might mix it up. See who's in the final. And yeah, thanks for all the support on that. And I'll see you guys next weekend. Cheers.